coming to the green flag here for round number 2 of the 2023 FBRL Hardee's National Series season. Joseph Wrigley, the Sony Cup Series driver, on pole position as green flag is in the air here at Dubai. As the H&S Series goes international here. Entering turn number 1, Wrigley clears the 91 of Brandon Beal, not Tyler Black, Brandon Beal in the 91 car here. Wrigley gets out to an early lead here. He's going to be making a couple of part-time starts in this number 77 Spar Motorsports car for Honda. Trying to see if he can get Honda's first win in the Hardee Series. This Dubai street circuit. It's not the longest circuit on the schedule. However, it has definitely got some interesting characteristics to it. It's basically flat. There's a lot of areas to make passes on. And it is very, very wide, which is quite unnatural for a street circuit. Through the first lap here, Wrigley's going to lead the first lap here. Brandon Beal replacing Tyler Black full-time in the 91 for the rest of the season, coming off a strong race at Daytona. Trying to see if he can possibly keep up with Joseph Wrigley, one of FBRL's best road course racers. Battle for third here between two of the Curtis Racing cars. Kyle Collins, who is a lot of people are predicting to be a big threat for the win today, as he got all of his wins on road courses last season and was by far maybe the best road course racer in the Hardee's National Series last season, and he's looking to continue that trend this season. And with more road courses than last season, you have to mention Kyle Collins is licking his chops at what could be a massive opportunity for him. Collins sells into third place ahead of his teammate Corey Williams. Corey Williams kind of struggled on the road courses last season, but I think he's been taking some notes with Collins over the offseason because he's looking a lot better here in this 14 car. Meanwhile, look at this log jam that's happening in the middle of the field here as several cars are banging on each other. Here's Butcher, comes across the 84 of Cameron Lessard off the final corner there. And entering the corner, Butcher, Lessard leaning on each other, and they go way off the track there as Lessard gets shoved onto the green. Butcher gets back on, but Lessard trying to get the car righted. That's going to cost him some spots. That's going to put him outside the top 20. Cannot imagine Lessard happy about that one. As they're 3 wide here at Dubai as Rowe and Goforth make contact there. Oh, they gotta settle this down. Lessard gets back in front of those two. But that was not what Lessard wanted here in lap number 3. Here's Eric Rodriguez in the 19. Cybertron 2 Motorsports car. And it's been quite the weekend for Rodriguez as Jeff James hits the back of the 19, hit him in the quarter panel, sends him up the track. And Rodriguez, he fires off the exit of the final corner there. And I don't think Rodriguez is going to be happy about this one. Here comes Rodriguez into the back of the 4. Oh boy. Jeff James hit Rodriguez in the quarter panel, and Rodriguez responded in kind. However, Jeff James does get the spot anyways, but Eric Rodriguez, who failed to qualify for this race, driving the number 63 for Flipside Motorsports. Now, DJ Curtis was supposed to drive this car, but after Rodriguez failed to qualify, the team elected to pull DJ out of the car and put Eric Rodriguez in the car so that he could earn driver's points, as Rodriguez is a full-time Hardee's driver and Curtis is not. So Rodriguez trying to get acclimated with this 19, had a decent qualifying effort, and is trying to get his weekend back on track here. Unsurprisingly, we have a lot of the more notable FBRL road course specialists up here at the front. However, there are a couple of surprising unknowns up here. Stuart Grand making his second career start for Joseph Wrigley Racing, running in 6th place behind his teammate Bobby Jones. Well, for this race, teammate Bobby Jones. Grand, the Australian, had a decent showing at Daytona a few weeks ago, and trying to follow up with a good finish here today at Dubai. He's looking pretty spiffy so far. Behind him, Griffin Lappa McDermott in the 62. He was on track for a good finish at Daytona until a late race wreck knocked the 62 out of contention here. And a lot of people are really curious to see how Lappa McDermott will do in the road courses this year, as he scored a very surprising top 10 for SC Motorsports at Eagle Point last season, which kind of turned some heads and helped his career out a little bit here. And he's following up that performance with a solid run here inside the top 10 and trying to hold off Noah Hart and former series champion Kev Shear. Speaking of Daytona, here's Nick Breeding getting into the back of the 51 of Vargas, pushes him a little bit off the track there, a nice little bump. Defending series champion and coming off a win at Daytona. Breeding did not have the qualifying he was hoping for, but Breeding, who is a very good road course racer here in the Hardee's National Series, he's got quite the challenge here today, and he gets past the 51 of Vargas to get into 14th. So Breeding trying to see if he can get inside the top 10. And 9 car seems to be pretty good. However, Vargas, he's going to respond to the 9 with a bump of his own. I think Breeding cars are just a little bit better. He's going to clear the 51. Brandon Beal, who was originally going to be a full-time Sony Cup Series driver this year, he was asked to come to Hardee's National Series to replace the retiring Tyler Black. And he's getting now a face full of Kyle Collins here, as Joseph Wrigley, who is starting to pull away from these guys. I think Collins realized he needs to make this pass on 91 quick here, but Beal trying to help out his teammate of Wrigley. Collins is going to need to make this pass pretty quick if he wants a shot to 77, I think. Beal hanging on the quarter panel to 41, but Collins does clear. But that's going to set up Beal to potentially maybe bump him back. Not quite there. Here comes the 14 of Corey Williams underneath the inside, now trying to capitalize on the 91. That was exactly what Kyle Collins needed to see, was Corey getting next to that 91. Here's Lars Van Schaik in the 59 for Fitzwater Racing Team. Originally, Lil Adonix was supposed to pilot this 59 for this week, but unfortunately her, let's call it an incident at Daytona, has left her with an injury and a suspension. So she will be gone for the next 2 races, including this one. So Lars Van Schaik was tapped in to replace her for this weekend. Lars, who is driving full-time in the Sony Cup Series for Fitzwater. Trying to see what we can do here, and he's actually battling with RJ Bishop, which, I'll tell you what, that 71 team RJ Bishop, they're having a really bad weekend. They have been struggling in practice, they had a really bad qualifying session, and now they're struggling to beat a Fitzwater Racing Team car. Now, Van Schaik is actually pretty experienced, but hasn't really had much success overall in his career, but trying to see what he can pull off today in this car. He seems to be doing quite decent. We're also expecting Jacques Anderson, the Napa Truck Series rookie, to drive his 59 at Autumn Hill in a few weeks. So that'll be interesting. Battle for 10, Lane Sanders and Cole Baker going at it. Lane Sanders so far is the only Turner car that's having the only Turner driver that's having a good weekend so far in the Hardee's National Series. Huck Davis failed to qualify in the 99. RJ Bishop is stuck in the back racing with Lars Van Schaik. But meanwhile, Lane Sanders is trying to get inside this top 10, battling Cole Baker, who is driving for Flipside Motorsports this weekend. Cole will be making a small handful of starts in this part-time 50 car. And he's trying to shake off Sanders here, but Sanders is keeping his foot in it. That's one of the fun things about this track, is that you can basically run side by side through almost every corner. This track does offer multiple different lines and lanes for you to use. And you can see here Sanders trying to make a pass on the outside. If he can clear that 50 doing that, that would be very impressive on his part here. But you can see the 50's laying on him here. Ooh, maybe some slight contact. Still fair so far, at least they're not wrecking each other. Sanders now trying to see if he can clear this 50. This battle looking really good so far. Baker trying to keep with the 97. He is leaning all over Sanders. Sanders cannot complete this pass. They've been side by side for a full lap. Neither of these two have been able to get much of an advantage. Sanders trying to clear this 50. I think this 97's a bit faster than Baker, but Baker's just going to throw everything he's got this 97. Whoa, boy. It's a hard battle, but they're keeping it clean. And that's what you want to see. This is very good racing from these two. And they're about to be side by side for a full lap at this rate. They're not the only ones having a nice long battle here. You can see behind DeMax and Matthew Rodriguez, to be more specific. They're also having their own little battle here. But man, oh boy, that was more contact there. I'm surprised neither of these two have lost their cool yet, but they are just leaning on each other, hoping for the best. Someone's got to clear somebody. We're not leaving this battle until it ends, because this is insane. This is about to be lap 3 of side-by-side racing between two cars. And oh, trouble in the back and behind. Matthew Rodriguez has a blown engine. I guess we are going to have to look away from this. Matthew Rodriguez up in smoke in the 17 Rodriguez racing car. And that's a shame. He was having a great battle with DeMax there. And that was not what they wanted to see. Now, fortunately for Rodriguez, this is only their part-time car having this problem. But Matthew, who's in the middle of the track and for some reason running a racing line, I don't know why, his day is going to be done. Alright, well, back to what we were watching, as this battle has now reached, I think, its 4th or 5th lap of neither of these two being able to pass each other. By the way, we're about to come to pit stops here in a moment. The projected fuel is around 13 to 16 laps. That's the projected fuel window. So if anything's going to stop this battle, it's going to be a pit stop here. But Sanders and Baker still going at it. Meanwhile, up ahead, as you saw, Kev Shear past the 18 of Noah Hart. So Kev Shear in the top 10 now and trying to climb his way through this field. And here comes Eric DeMax, who might be thinking about something. And look at this, Lane Sanders finally clears the 50. It only took 5 laps of side-by-side racing for that to get settled. But there we go. One of the longest side-by-side battles I think I've ever seen has come to its conclusion. Pit stops have begun. First of 2 stops needed to complete this race. As Wrigley comes to pit road, he's going to bring basically everybody with him. Looks like everyone's going to run long, except for the 47. He's going to stay out even longer. So DeMax in the 47, as well as Eric Rodriguez in the 19, they're going to elect to go an extra lap here. Now there's a roughly 2 to 3 seconds of tire fall off throughout the run. So this is quite a risk by DeMax and Rodriguez to do this. But they're hoping that they're going to have the cars in the long run to contend. Here's the race off pit road, roughly even there as Sirigley and Collins run almost the exact same times on pit road. Remember, a couple cars have stayed out, so the order is not completely correct here, but this is the assumed leaders here. Sanders jumps out actually in front of Stuart Gratton, and Brandon Beal actually loses some spots there in the 91. So Spartan Motorsports must have given him a pretty bad pit stop here as Beal falls outside the top 5. As we go through here, ooh, Kev Shear. Oh man, Shear was running in around the 10th place position when pit stops started, but now he's behind Jeff James, who was just outside the top 15. So a rough batch of pit stops for Shade Bignacco Racing here. DeMax and Rodriguez came to pit road here, and they're going to come out way ahead of those guys as Sirigley retakes the lead in the 77. Collins comes out, Corey Williams behind. Where's DeMax and Rodriguez? Ooh, Rodriguez, he actually comes out ahead of DeMax. Whoa, DeMax, he looks like he had a really bad stop in the 47. He has lost a lot of positions there in the Monster Energy Racing Dodge Dart. Let's watch this pit stop by Eric DeMax here. You can see they start the left side quicker than the 19 Rodriguez, but look how long it takes for DeMax to get the left sides on. His pit crew must have had a really tough time. And we're being told clocked in 21-second stop for the 47. So a massive mistake on pit road by his pit crew has now cost DeMax a spot inside the top 10 potentially here. And DeMax is now going to have quite the mountain to climb. We are now at the halfway point here. We're expecting one last pit stop before the end of this thing. And Joseph Sirigley is your leader, but Kyle Collins in the 41 has been keeping up with him ever since he got past the 91. So this battle for the lead here, I don't think it's going to be as easy as Sirigley was hoping it was going to be, because now Kyle Collins is coming to challenge him here. And this is very interesting here. One of the Sony Cup Series' best road course drivers is Joseph Sirigley, and inarguably Kyle Collins is Hardee's best road course racer. So a little bit of an all-star battle between two different series' best road racers here. And you can see Collins, he has got some good speed there. That 41 looks really strong on corner exit. So Collins is driving the heck out of that 41 car. Meanwhile, his teammate Corey Williams sits in third, having a really good race for his road course standards. Bobby Jones in the 11, also an accomplished road racer in FBRL. Currently running in the 4th position. Having a really strong day for Joe Sirigley Racing here. Griffin Lapham McDermott in the top 5. So a really strong effort here from GLM. And showing that finish at Eagle Point last season was definitely not a fluke. Lane Sanders on pit road gained a couple of spots. So Sanders is now in contention for a top 5 here if he can get to Lapham McDermott. And Sanders does have a truck win on a road course as well. So it's a lot of road course specialists up here at the front here. Gratton in the 16. Brandon Beal, who is, man, he is having a tough time here. Ever since he lost 2nd place, that 91's just been falling down the order. Cole Baker in the 50. Who, his best Sony Cup Series finish is on a road course, so this top 10 in theory is not very surprising considering the drivers in it. Noah Hart rounding out the top 10 here. Pit stops seem to have really messed with the Shade Bignacco Racing cars, as Kev Shear has fallen outside the top 10 as a result of it, and Ryan Butcher has now fallen to 21st. He was running in around the 15th place position when the pit stop started, so Not a good look for Shea Bianca Racing here. They actually seem to have some decent pace, but it's really important to get track position here on a road course here, and this is definitely one of those cases where pit crew can really cost you here, especially with how even the field is. Looking at the times, track position is just that important. You cannot afford any mistakes. I would say the biggest winner from the pit cycle is, I would arguably say, Tyler Commons in the 44. Commons was running 30th when the pit stop started, and Commons pitted late. He was one of the last cars to pit, and he's now up to 19th, so 11 positions gained by this 44 team just on pit road alone. That is really nice to see for this 44 team. They must be really happy about that one, and Commons is putting on some decent lap times as well. AFRT did not have a good weekend at Daytona, and they're trying to make up for it here. They haven't had a good weekend here either, but Commons is doing what he can here, and he's doing a pretty solid job for this team. Tommy Roberts Racing has had quite the interesting last couple of weeks here, as their full-time driver, Jack Boswell, has left the team. Then they hired another driver named Thane Snyder, who was supposed to drive this 38 for this weekend, and unfortunately that deal fell through. And they finally managed to get another driver, Callie DeGarmo, and unknown rookie, making her Hardee's National Series debut. Got in on a provisional, and racing with Zachary DeLello for 40th here. So DeGarmo, I think she's just trying to get some laps here, get some experience. And racing with Zachary DeLello. It was not exactly having the weekend I think he was hoping for here, but doing the best he can for Nova Sport in what's only their second Hardee's race, so there's a lot of inexperience throughout the bottom half of this field, and they're all just trying to get some laps in, get some experience here. You got Brad Stover in the 39, making his debut as well. Kyle Collins here, catching up to Sirigley there. Whoa, Collins was about to make a move on the 77, but he's diving towards pit road. This is early. We were not expecting pit stops for another 5 to 8 laps maybe, but Kyle Collins and the 41 team, they're going to roll the dice. They're going to go for an undercut here to try and get past the 77, which I'm kind of surprised by this call. I mean, the 41 looked faster than Sirigley. I think they're trying to see if they can get a gap to work with here, but with how sensitive the tires are, this is going to be quite a difficult gamble, I think. But if Collins can get some clean air, maybe this could work. Here's one of the big battles going on right now. Everyone's trying to fight to get into 8th place here. I mean, you can look, this is 8th place through basically 15th in a 1-second gap here, as Beal is in danger of falling outside the top 10 after such a strong qualifying effort here. Granted, I don't think Beal was really expecting to even drive this car this weekend, but for a short notice decision, this has been a pretty decent weekend for him here. And now he's got a face full of Cole Baker next to him, who is currently the highest running Mercedes right now. Ooh, bumper cars here in the final corner. That last corner is just mayhem sometimes with how everyone races each other here. Here comes Beal on the inside of Noah Hard. He gives him the bumper, shoves him up the track there. I don't think Noah's going to appreciate that one. But Beal trying to put his foot down, trying to keep himself in the hunt here. But Hard clears him anyway, so that didn't exactly work. Christian Vargas, who had a solid top 10 finish at Daytona, now trying to follow up with another one, if possible. And he's got some very experienced drivers around him here he's racing with. You know, you got the defending series champion Nick Breeding, who is trying to get his way into the top 10, so, and Breeding's a good road racer. So staying in front of him is pretty impressive so far. But I think that 9's got some really good speed here, although you have to imagine the Rodriguez drivers are maybe a little bit nervous ever since Matthew blew his engine. But this is the big battle on track. It's for 8th, and it's between a lot of cars. Here's Kyle Collins. He's trying to get some clean air here, trying to hot lap on these brand new tires. And I think this 41 team is fully committing to trying to win this race on an undercut. Now I have to imagine Sirigli's team, Spartan Motorsports, I think they're gonna bring him to pit road maybe a couple laps earlier than I think they would have wanted, but to respond to this. But we'll see what happens here. This track is it can get pretty rough on the tires, so whether Collins can get the lead and hold on to it's gonna be very interesting here, as we're coming up on 10 laps to go. Here's a really good battle going on right now between Tyler Commons and Edward Ziemba in the 22 for Fisher Motorsports. Edward making his first start for Fisher Motorsports in the 22 this season. Going to be running a part-time schedule for them. And him and Collins are really going at it here for the 17th place position here, as Commons trying to get 17th from Edward, and he's going to get the spot here, but can he clear? Commons trying to inch ahead of the 22, can't quite yet. Commons does get the spot, but still can't clear him. Behind them, another battle brewing here. Butcher, who is trying to make up for lost time after the pit stop. He is battling the heck out of Cody Goforth. As Commons does get past the 22. But Goforth now trying to get past the 8 of Butcher, or at least hold the spot. But I think Butcher's going to be able to muscle ahead of this 92. And he does. Here's Eric DeMax, who is also trying to make up for lost time. Lost about 6 seconds of time on pit road. And he's making up for it here. He is running the heck out of this car as Jeff James comes down next to the 47 as we got final stops incoming here. Everyone's coming down pit road for their final stops. Oh boy. That was some scary contact between DeMax and Jeff James as the final pit stops are underway here at Dubai. Joseph Sirigley comes to pit road here, pits a couple laps after Collins did. Like I said, I think they're maybe deciding to pit this a little earlier than they expected to make sure Collins doesn't get too far out, because I think Collins is going to cycle towards the lead. And most of the cars in the top 10 have followed, as Corey Williams, Graden follow in behind. Sirigley now off of pit road. Where is he going to end up with Collins here? There's Collins next to him. Collins going to get a run off of the final corner, and Kyle Collins is going to get the effective lead from Joseph Sirigley. However, that's not exactly a very big gap there. I don't think that's the gap Collins was hoping to have. You have to wonder if maybe Collins, just in lap traffic, just wasn't able to get as much time as he wanted here. As now Sirigley's going to have roughly 4 to 5 lap fresher tires here to run down Collins over these next 10 laps. Bobby Jones is going to run pretty long here as he elects not to come to pit road. At least not yet here. Meanwhile, everyone else is going to come to pit road, it looks like. Noah Hard, Beal, Baker, all these guys who are battling for 8th place now to pit road here. And Bobby Jones is going to be the weird one who's going to go as long as he can. Bobby Jones was running in around 4th place when Collins came to pit road, so I think Jones is. I think they're trying to see if they can get a really strong finish here by running the freshest tires in the field. They're going to be at risk of losing some spots. 7 to go here in Dubai, and Bobby Jones is going to lose some spots here. as part of this gamble. So Jones, who was in front of a bunch of these guys, he's going to have to make up some ground here. So this should be very interesting to see if he can pull this off, but it's going to take a lap for him to get his tires heat up. But now he's back there with Stuart Gratton, who was several seconds behind him when the pit cycle started. So Jones is going to have some work to do here. But meanwhile, this is the effective battle for the win here between Kyle Collins and Joseph Sirigli. Sirigli has multiple laps of fresher tires than this 41. Can Kyle Collins hold on to this? This is going to be a very tough ask for Collins here. I think they really needed some more time ahead of Sirigli. But that was kind of the risk they made. You know, you're going for the undercut. You're trying to pull up a big gap that could potentially be not small enough for Sirigli to make up. But I think just that lap, just being stuck in lap traffic, really hurt the time that Collins could have put on Sirigli here. And you can see Sirigli's keeping up with him already, despite the tires not being as warmed up. Corey Williams still in third place. He's basically been third all day, and looking at a really good finish here. Griffin Lapham McDermott up to fourth place here after Bobby Jones elected to run long. Lane Sanders on a 97, now up to fifth place. Having a really strong day. Started outside he actually drove his way from outside the top 10 into fifth, so a really strong run for Sanders here. And actually is maybe in contention for the points lead as well after this race, depending on how this shakes out. Stuart Gratton in the 16. This has been a really great day for this rookie. Not a lot of experience in the Hardee series or the Truck series. Not a lot of FBRL experience at all, but he's running a really great race here in the 16. Bobby Jones trying to make up for lost time here with his fresh tires. Christian Vargas in 8th place with another potential strong top 10 run. Noah Hart up to 9th place, and Gatlin Downey in the 12, who had a really great stop as well. He's climbed up to 10th. He was running in around 15th at the start of the cycle. But Downey, he's done a really good job making up time. And meanwhile, it did not take long for Sirigli to get to the 41 of Collins here. That last lap, Sirigli was 1 second quicker than Collins, and he is all over this 41 car. And I think this 41 team just made a massive mistake by pitting that early. Sirigli here, he can take his time. I don't think Collins is going to have much for him. Here comes Sirigli now. He's going to run the high line here. This is a very good line to take for a pass, and you can see the run he gets off of the corner. Collins leads the lap, but it's not going to be for very long. And here comes Sirigli up the inside. Collins trying to fight back here against Sirigli. He's got to wear the 77 down. But I think Sirigli's just going to have the tires to power past this 41. You can see there, Sirigli slides up in front of the 41, forces the 41 to run wide, and that will clear him. And now he can pull away, and you can already see the difference in the corners there. Sirigli in one corner makes up a whole car length. Man, I get what Collins was trying to do. I get what the 41 team was trying to pull there, but they needed a lot more time on the clock to make that work. Well, one, they needed less laps, and one, they needed a bigger gap, and they just couldn't get it, which is a shame because I think Collins may have had a car that could beat Sirigli on a 1v1 even pace there. In terms of strategies, on an even strategy, I should say, I think Collins may have been quicker. But now Sirigli, all he's got to do at this point is just run some consistent laps here, and Honda's going to get their first ever win in the Hardee's National Series. Man, I'll tell you what, pit stops were just so crucial. You can see Ryan Butcher, who has managed to get back up to 18th, but look at what happened to Kev Shear. Shear had managed to climb back into the fight for the top 10, and now the Zero car is outside the top 20. And that's a shame. Shear had a top 10 car today, I think, but just mistakes on pit road, slow pit stops have absolutely doomed the Zero car today, despite a strong car. And you have to imagine Shea Bianca Racing is going to be looking at their pit crew, wondering what could have been. We're coming up here on the final lap here at Dubai. What has been a very, very tough race for a lot of cars, and we've had some very strong battles here. Here's Bobby Jones trying to make up time here, but there's Joseph Wrigley on the white flag here at Dubai, and he is on track to give Honda its first ever win in the Hardee's National Series and Spartan Motorsports' first win on the year. And look at the gap. I mean, over the course of a couple of laps, he's made 4 seconds. He's made up a 4-second gap on Collins, and now Collins is in danger of losing second to Corey Williams here. Apologies for any grammar mistakes I made said today, but here's the big battle here between Jones and Sanders, who is Bobby Jones' decision to run long is going to cost him one position, it looks like, unless he can somehow get to GLM. But I don't think that's going to be very likely here. So Wrigley with a couple of corners to go here. Here's Corey Williams trying to see if he can sneak second place away from Kyle Collins in this 41 car. I think Corey's going to play nice, but because they're pretty safe in their spots. But Corey's all over him regardless here. But here we go, the final corner here for Joseph Wrigley in the 77. And coming out the final corner, it's going to be the first win for Spartan this year, and Honda has won their first ever Hardee's National Series race here in FBRL, as Joseph Wrigley makes the last couple of laps pass on Kyle Collins for the win. Kyle Collins holds on to second from Corey Williams. So Corey comes across for the podium. Griffin Lapham McDermott in the 62 finishes fourth. A great day for Honda and a great day for Lapham McDermott as he gets his best career finish and Signal Z Racing's best ever finish. Bobby Jones gets fifth. Could have had fourth, but just didn't have the time. Yep, that happened. Lane Sanders in the 97, sixth place for him. Another good finish, another top 10 for him. Stuart Grattan gets a top 10 in the 16 as well. His second race here in the Hardee's National Series. Noah Hart, a strong day, finishes 8th. Christian Vargas gets another top 10, finishes 9th, and his teammate Cole Baker comes across 10th. We're being told Baker managed to just get Downey for 10th at the line. And that will do it for here at Dubai. Honda scores its first ever win, and Joseph Wrigley heads to victory lane for Spartan Motorsports.